Hi, and thanks for watching again. Before we get started, please like and subscribe if you enjoy these videos. It really helps. But today we're going to be looking at what's commonly called a cold clipper in a guitar tube amp. I'm not going to go in depth in how it works or what it is. You should probably check out a lot of great articles online. Do a little searching for cold clipper, guitar amp or something like that, and there'll be plenty of articles by people who know way more than I do, going in detail about how it works and what the effect of that on the guitar tone is. But we're going to be using this amp. I made a video about this amp a couple weeks ago, going in depth with the schematic and all that stuff. So if you're interested in what this amp is, I'll post a link up here so you can check it out. But what I want to do is I want to do a little experiment trying to compare the tone of the guitar with and without the cold clipper. Now it's going to be a little bit difficult because by adding the cold clipper, you are going to change the gain structure quite a bit. So it's going to be difficult to match what the perceived amount of gain is, but I'm going to try my best. And we'll have several guitar loops played back to back with and without the cold clipper, just to get an idea of what it sounds like and how it affects the overdrive tones. So it's not going to be a real serious video in any way. It's just going to be a fun experiment trying to see what the tonal differences are with and without a cold clipper. It'll make a little more sense when we look at the schematic right after this, and I'll talk briefly about how the cold clipper works and what I'm going to do in today's video. So I guess we should probably just dive into the schematic and take a look at the amp. Okay, so we're back and taking a look at the amp. The first thing I'll point out is that this little black knob right here, this is going to be the bias knob that's going to create the cold clipper. And so let's just max it out for now and take a look at the schematic. The amp already actually has a cold clipper built into it. So this gain stage right here is going to be the cold clipper. And the reason why it's called that way is because by having a resistor value here, that's for this example is 6.8K, that's creating what's called a cold bias. And by creating a cold bias, you're going to clip the signal a little differently than you would with a properly biased 12AX7 gain stage. And so that's why it's called a cold clipper. And a lot of Marshall amps have cold clippers, although the value of the resistor is going to be different depending on the amp. But this amp has a 6.8K, and that's what the Class 5 had. So I just implemented that on my own amp. Again, I do recommend, if you're interested in this stuff, do some research on it online. There are plenty of websites that go in depth about this, written by people who have way more knowledge than I do. So I'm not going to talk about this in depth at all. But basically, just so you know what we're going to be doing today and what we're listening to, this is the default cold clipper gain stage that's built into the Class 5. Okay, so after that, we have another gain stage, and there we have a 1.5K cathode resistor, which is your typical value for your cathode resistor. But I added a reverse log pot right between that and ground, a 10K pot, and that's this guy. And so when it's maxed out, it's actually zero resistance. And so when it's maxed out, you basically have the 1.5K going straight to ground. And as I sort of decrease this or turn this to the left, I'm going to be increasing the gain. And when it's right around this black line, which I actually can't see from here, it's going to be a total of roughly 6.8K. And obviously, I'm not going to get it exact, so it's going to be somewhere between 6.5 and 7K, but thereabouts. And so what I'm going to try to do with this video is I'm going to go back and forth between this at this line and then this at 0, and then try to match the amount of gain with the gain knob so that the perceived amount of gain is the same, but the cold clipping stage is introduced or not in the circuit. And then the fun part is going to be when we have the switches turned up, and so we have a Class 5 style circuit. There's going to be the default cold clipper gain stage, and then after that, going into the last gain stage, we're going to have another cold clipper. and so we're sort of double cold clipping the signal, which should be pretty interesting, because usually amps wouldn't do that, because you're kind of defeating the whole purpose of having a cold clipper. But I just wanted to see what it sounds like. And then when we have the switches down, that's going to create what I call the faux Fender circuit. Again, if you're interested in this amp, I do recommend you go check out the in-depth video I made a couple weeks ago, where I talk about all the circuitry and all that stuff about this amp. Basically, by having those three switches down, we are going from the tone stack, jumping past this gain stage and going straight to the final gain stage. So this is going to be out of the circuit completely. And then at that point, what we're going to do is do the same thing again, and so with and without the cold clipper, matching the gain. And in that case, it's going to be a single cold clip circuit. So you'll really be able to hear the effect of a cold clipper. And that's about it. I hope I made sense with this explanation. We're going to be playing the same guitar loop that I had from my previous video, doing the 12 AX7 shootout. So if you're interested in that, please go check it out. I should probably just jump into the tone samples so you can actually hear what's going on. So let's move on into the next section. Okay, so that was a little experiment trying to see if we can compare the differences of a guitar amp with and without a cold clipper. I hope you enjoyed the content, and please share your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you guys think, and as usual, thanks for watching.